mind, looking for a dime. James Lock in the house, gonna help you shine.
Welcome to the Pool Lock YouTube channel. I'm James Lock. Today we're going to answer two more Ask James questions of the day. First question is from Jeremy. How can I tell if my 401k plan allows transfers to an IRA while I'm still working? All right, Jeremy, well, the easiest way is to say, hey, let's just go to Human Resources. Let's just find out when's the earliest I can do an in-service rollover. And that's what it's called, an in-service rollover, where you are now still working, but you want to take that money and roll it over. But let me give you some general guidelines also, and I'll kind of explain why this matters so much for your retirement income strategy. The general guidelines for many companies are age 59 and a half. So even if you're still working at 59 and a half, in most companies, you can make that rollover. That's a general guideline. But here's the thing, your plan doesn't have to adhere to that. The IRS allows that, but your plan could be more restrictive and say, no, we don't want to do that. This is why checking with HR is absolutely crucial before you start planning your income transition strategy. Now, if you're younger than that age, chances are you probably cannot do that rollover if you're still working at that company. But what you can do is take previous 401ks that you've left behind and roll those over to an IRA. Why would you do this? Because you're not working at those previous companies. This gives you immediate access to better income generating investment options that might not be available in your current 401k. But for your company, it's typical. If you're still working at your active current company, you have to be 59 and a half or over, and then check with HR to make sure that that it happens, right? Now, I know you didn't ask this, but let me explain why this rollover matters for income investing. Most 401k plans have limited investment options, maybe 20, 30 mutual funds at best. But when you roll over to an IRA, you open up to thousands of income-focused investments, dividend-paying investments, dividend-paying stocks, so REITs, bonds, ETFs, right? Preferred shares, income-focused mutual funds that aren't available in your workplace plan. This expanded universe can be game-changing for building a reliable income stream in retirement. Now, some people here have 403b plans. How about those? Well, if you have a 403b plan, they're typically, there's more required by them by law, right? A triggering event at age 59 and a half. So, you should have at age 59 and a half be able to do an in-service rollover from the 403 plan to an IRA, but you want to check with HR, right? Because it's a little different. And both the plans, though, you can continue to contribute after you roll it over because you're still working. Even once you've rolled it over, you can still add in, right? So maybe you roll over 95% of the money, leave some there to keep contributing. Now, lastly, a deferred comp plan, a 457. Oftentimes, you can't roll these over at all. Occasionally you can, but often you cannot. And those, you can't roll those over until you retire. Now, these plans often have the most restrictive rollover rules, so definitely verify this with your benefits administrator. But the safest thing to do is always check with HR. And once you do get that rollover capability, remember that this opens up a world of income generating opportunities that can help you build that reliable cash flow you'll need in retirement. I hope that helped, and remember to focus on building that income foundation early. Great question. If you would like to send in your question for us to answer, you can do so by emailing them to poollock@poollock.com. Our second question is from Edith, and she says, I heard there were disadvantages to transferring to an IRA. So can you explain what those are? All right, Edith, yes. Yeah, now, there can be disadvantages, and most of the time, the advantages will outweigh the disadvantages. But let me walk you through the biggest ones, because understanding these can really impact your income planning strategy. First of all, if you have a loan, like you have an outstanding loan against the 401k, you may not be able to do that rollover because you'd have to pay the loan off first. Or you might need to leave enough money in there to cover the loan, in case you default, right? So you want to be careful, because if you try to roll it over with a loan outstanding, they're going to treat it as a withdrawal. Pay off the loan, and that is going to be a taxable event for you. Now, this could really mess up your income tax planning for the year. So when you have loans against the 401k, that's one time you might not be able to, or might have to just roll over a portion of that account. Another disadvantage is if you plan to retire early. And this is where income planning gets tricky. The general rule, if you retire early, is that you can do what's called a 72T withdrawal from an IRA. So you could be in your 40s and retire early, but you've got to stick to one of three rigid government formulas if you want to get the money out of your IRA penalty free. These formulas calculate your required annual distribution based on your account balance and life expectancy. And in order to do that, you have to pick the formula and stick with it all the way to age 59 and a half. Actually, it's the later of 5 years or age 59 and a half. So if you need more income 1 year or you need less, you're kind of stuck. You can't change it. The lack of flexibility can be a real problem when you're trying to create a sustainable income stream in early retirement. But here's a rule that a lot of people don't know about, and this is crucial for income planning. If you've retired from the company, you can actually take money penalty free starting at 55 without that rigid 72T formula. This is called the rule of 55, and it only applies to a 401k from your most recent employer. So that's a situation where you either may not want to do a rollover because you're retiring before 59 and a half, and you might want to, you might not want to roll it over. This gives you much more flexibility in managing your early retirement income because you can take withdrawals as needed rather than being locked into those rigid equal payments. Now, some plans say it's all or nothing, right? Roll it all over, leave it all there. But most allow partial rollovers, which is where this smart income planning comes into play. And if yours does and you're retiring early, then what I've done in the past is say, okay, the amount of money you need for income between now and age 59 and a half, let's leave that money in the 401k so you can take it out with no IRS penalty. Then roll the rest over to an IRA so you can start building that income first, growth second strategy with access to dividend stocks, REITs, bond funds that aren't available in your 401k. This way, you're getting the best of both worlds, penalty-free access to immediate income needs and better investment options for long-term income generation. And then when you're 59 and a half, you could take the money out to the IRA completely, IRS penalty-free, giving you full access to those income-producing investments you've been building up. There's also one more consideration I should mention. Some 401k plans offer institutional share classes of mutual funds with lower expense ratios than what you might find in an IRA. But in my experience, the expanded investment universe in an IRA, especially for income-focused strategies, usually more than makes up for any slight difference in fees. So those are the main times when perhaps you want to second guess the rollover. But I find in my experience that those situations are few and far between. And the income advantages of an IRA rollover typically win out. So I hope that helped clarify when you might want to think twice about that rollover. Two great questions today. And if you would like to send in your question, you can do so by emailing them to poollock@poollock.com. And if you like what you heard, go ahead and like and subscribe to our channel. I'm James Locke, your retirement income source. And I'll see you next time.
Money on my mind, looking for a dime. James Locke in the house, gonna help you shine. Retirement is near, don't you live in fear. Listen up, my friend, let me make it clear. Savings